One thing you do need to remember to do when you're soldering the wall warts, or power supplies as they're called, is to make sure you attach the black cap before you solder the plug on. Make sure the threads are aligned so they'll screw into the plug, and just make sure that that's on before you start. To solder the plug, you simply attach one wire through, I guess what would be the metal lengthy part, through the hole, and you solder it to the back side. Doesn't matter which wire you use. I know one of them has a white stripe and one of them doesn't, but that's really not important. This solder is the easiest one to do because it has the least amount of metal to heat up before the solder will stay. So to do so, you simply pinch the wire to the plug, heat it up, and apply your solder. You will need to be careful because as you work on the other parts, it'll get hot. The plug will get hot to the touch, and you don't want to burn yourself. So clip away your excess wire that's coming off of the plug, and you're ready to go. So next you want to take the second wire and you want to lay it in the little cradle on top of the first wire. You want to pinch those two metal pieces together. And this is going to help you a lot because it's going to help keep that second wire in place as you work on it and as you solder it to the middle part of the plug, the part that's coming out. You could try and solder it inside that plug, but I found that completely difficult and pretty impractical. So I solder it to the outside of that plug below, you'll see a little black ring. You solder below that little black ring. This one is difficult because you have to heat it up a lot. And it takes some time and it's rather finicky. So what you do is you just apply your heat to your wire and your plug, and you feed some solder in there and you just hold it. I find it's easier to use the pliers to hold everything in place. That way my fingers don't burn, and it's just easier. So you need to hold it on there for a good 10 or 15 seconds for the soldering iron to really work and heat everything up to a place where the solder will flow and will create a good joint with both the wire and the plug. So once you've done this, you have a plug that is ready to go. And you can test this by hooking your multimeter up, placing one lead inside of the plug and one lead to the outside while the plug is plugged in, and you should read somewhere around 15 AC volts. And there you have soldered your power supply for the board.